Hello again, and welcome back to week 24 of year 4 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is day 2. We're continuing our way through the Discourse on Demonic Temptation from St. Anthony the Great. So last time we saw St. Anthony complete his account of the attacks that the demons will make against humanity, and especially against monastics, by speaking of how they will appear even like the great Leviathan, the great serpent or dragon, threatening to destroy us. But then he proceeded with the reminder that the Lord has already overthrown the power even of such dragons, and has hooked them and bound them. Thus, he says, the evil spirits, leaving behind threatenings, will act instead by deception, pretending to be pious, and try to lead us astray by telling us that we should be more pious than we should, or not pious enough, that we should ignore the guidance of our spiritual Father in order to overthrow us. So he urged his hearers to ignore them, whether they threaten or whether they lead astray. We'll see how he continues from this point. He says, I have so far spoken of this matter in passing, but now I must not hesitate to give a fuller account of the things concerning them, for the reminder will work for your safety. Since the Lord made his sojourn with us, the enemy is fallen, and his powers have diminished. For this reason, though he is able to do nothing, nonetheless, like a tyrant fallen from power, he does not remain quiet, but issues threats, even if they are only words. Let every one of you consider this, and he will be empowered to treat the demons with contempt. Now, if they were bound to bodies of the sort we have, they might have to say, we cannot find the men who hide themselves, but when we do find them, we inflict injury. By hiding, then, we would be able to escape them, locking doors against them. However, even if they are not like this, but have the power to enter through locked doors, and they are met everywhere in the air, both they and their leader, the devil, and though they intend malice and are ready to do harm, and as the Savior said, the devil, the father of evil, is a murderer from the beginning, nevertheless we are now living, and indeed we lead our lives in opposition to him. It is evident that they possess no strength, for a place does not prevent them from planning treachery, and they do not look on us as friends in order to show us mercy, and they are not lovers of the good with the intention of being reformed. On the contrary, they are evil, and they desire nothing so much as inflicting injury on those who love virtue and honor God. But because they have no power to act, they do nothing except issue threats. If they had the power, they would not delay, but immediately would perform the evil for which they have a ready inclination, especially evil directed against us. Take note, then, that we who are gathered here now speak against them, and they know that, as we advance, they are weakened. Indeed, if they had authority, they would not permit one of us Christians to live, for godliness is an abomination to the sinner. But, since they are powerless, they wound themselves instead, because the things they threaten they are unable to perform. To end our fear of them, we ought to ponder this. If the capability were theirs, they would not come in great mobs, nor create phantasms, nor would they work their fraud by being transfigured. It would suffice for only one to come and do what he can and wills, especially because everyone who actually possesses the power does not destroy with apparitions, nor arouse fear with large mobs, but exercises his might directly, as he wishes. The demons, however, unable to effect anything, play parts as if they were on a stage, changing their forms and striking fear in children by the illusion of the hordes and their shapes. For these antics they deserve instead to be ridiculed as weaklings. The true angel of the Lord, at least, who was sent by the Lord to the Assyrians, had no need of hordes, nor of visible apparitions, nor of crashing sounds and rattling noises. He wielded his authority quietly, and at once destroyed 185,000 foes. But the demons who lack the power to do anything, these are the sort who must try to frighten, even if through illusions. Now, if anyone considers the events of Job's life and says, why then did the devil set forth and do all those things to him? Did he not strip him of his possessions, destroy his children, and strike him with painful boils? let such a questioner know that the devil was not the one possessing strength, but it was God who turned over the testing of Job to him. It is clear that, because he was capable of doing nothing, he asked this, and when he was granted his request, he acted. So even on this ground also the enemy is to be condemned, that even when he desired it, he did not prevail against one righteous man. If he possessed strength, he would not have made the request. But in asking, not once, but twice, he showed himself weak and capable of nothing. It is not remarkable if he had no might against Job, when indeed destruction would not befall even the man's cattle unless God allowed it. In fact, the devil has no authority over swine, for as it is written in the gospel, they begged the Lord, saying, "Send us to the swine." But if they held no sway over the swine, how much less do they hold over people made in the image of God? We need therefore to fear God alone, holding them in contempt and fearing them not at all. Indeed, the more they do these things, let us all the more exert ourselves in the discipline that opposes them, for a great weapon against them is a just life and trust in God. They are afraid of the ascetics on several counts, for their fasting, the vigils, the prayers, the meekness and gentleness, the contempt for money, the lack of vanity, the humility, the love of the poor, the almsgiving, the freedom from wrath, and most of all, for their devotion to Christ. It is for this reason that they do all they do, in order not to have those monks trampling them underfoot. For they know the grace that has been given to the faithful for combat against them by the Savior, in his saying, "Behold, I have given you authority to tread upon serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy." So what St. Anthony has done here is really striking. Over the last few readings, he's outlined all of the attacks that the demons will make against the faithful of the Lord, and all of these things are things that St. Anthony experienced. He experienced the temptations, he experienced the apparitions, he experienced the great and terrifying visions, and he experienced the delusions, the deceptions, the leading astray, to be more pious, to be less pious, in whatever way. He experienced all of these things. And his point is frankly remarkable. That yes, the lesson we should draw from this is that if the demons, the enemies of our very lives, are reduced to such stratagems as these, then they have no power over us. Not because they are intrinsically weak, although they are, next to God, but because God has bound them, because God denies them the capacity to attack us. And that does bring up the challenging piece, as he mentions with Job. Sometimes God does allow them to come against us, to test us. Not a test like a math test to see if we know the material, or a test to, a pass-fail to see whether we are allowed to drive or not, but a trial, a purging, a purification, an opportunity for us to turn away from the evil and to turn towards the good, to turn towards the Lord. The Lord allows the demons to present us with a real choice, to trust God. And therefore, what it is necessary for us to do is to not be afraid of the demons, to not fear their threats or their deceptions, but to turn towards the Lord whenever, at any point in life, but especially when we come under attack. So, God bless you all. We'll see you shortly for day 3. Have a wonderful day.